So it's not just on the pitch that Liverpool are making changes this summer, because as we learned yesterday, there is a bit of a reshuffle going on in the dugout as well. Now, of course, it was confirmed yesterday that Giovani Van Bronckhorst will arrive as assistant coach to Arne Slot, but we've known about that for a little while. That has been reported a while back, that the Dutchman would be coming in. It's the other aspects maybe of that announcement that perhaps came as a surprise, and as I say, mean that there's going to be big changes to Arne Slot's coaching staff ahead of next season. So I wanted to kind of take a look at his staff now as it stands, with all those changes coming in, to see who's going to be helping him out as Liverpool plot the defence of their Premier League title. So I'm going to go through all those staff and what they bring to the table, and hopefully this is a unit that can help Liverpool go and have more success this season. So I'm going to start with the ones that we know about and who have been there since last season. I'm going to start with, of course, Sipke Holof, who is Arne Slot's right-hand man. They've been together, working together at Feyenoord, weren't they? But they've known each other since way back when. They were working together at Cambuur in the Dutch league at the very start of their coaching career, so known each other since then. And obviously, Holof, very impressive, you have to say, his first season at Liverpool, helping Liverpool win the Premier League title. But obviously, we don't exactly get to see what an assistant coach does a lot of the time, do we? But from speaking to people close to both at Slot and Holof, and I recall one interview in particular I did before Slot even started, actually, with a coach who is very highly respected and gave them their opportunity in coaching at Cambuur. And he said of both men, really, that they're both special and innovative. He said, he didn't just praise Arne Slot. He said that Holof is just the same, really, in terms of he is special in the way he approaches his work, coming up with big ideas, as Slot does as well. So it's the two of them working together closely on that sort of stuff, and he has a big influence on the way Liverpool set up, the tactics. As I say, it's very much kind of teamwork to get that all set up. So he has almost as much influence as Arne Slot in that aspect of things. Of course, Slot will have the final decision, but you can't underrate Holof's input into what Liverpool did last season. So clearly doing a pretty decent job when you look at the end result. And of course, Liverpool fans maybe love him even more after his antics after the Merseyside derby, the volley he launched at Michael Oliver, which I'm pretty sure a few Liverpool fans were envious of. So a well-liked character, and as I say, did a decent job, or more than decent job, last season, and he will be Slot's right-hand man again this season. Of course, another man who we know is already part of that coaching staff is Aaron Briggs. He is the first team individual development coach, having joined last summer, and as his title suggests, really his main concentration is on developing the players individually, so doing individual sessions to work on perceived weaknesses in the game, areas that the coaching staff as a whole have decided maybe they could do with a bit of work on, if that's positioning in certain situations, how aggressive they are in challenges, those sorts of things, or maybe just finishing with the strikers, for example. So he works on those aspects with them on an individual basis outside of the collective training sessions. And of course, he is also responsible for set pieces as well. Now, as I understand it, it's an interesting one, this. I think that there are no plans currently to appoint a dedicated set-piece coach. You will remember last summer there was an advertisement that Liverpool put out for that, and they decided alternatively to go with Aaron Briggs and the analyst doing that job instead. And of course, they didn't do fantastically well in terms of set pieces, but fairly okay record last season in terms of that. But we did see improvement as the season progressed, and so I think it kind of makes sense to allow Aaron Briggs to keep that responsibility for a little bit longer, to see if the improvement at the tail end of the season can be sustained. But of course, that is not his only responsibility. He's got other aspects, and I think he's proven himself in that again, similarly to Holof, that he's a very handy member of the team to have around, and if he can get a little bit more out of those set pieces, then he will absolutely add to his value to this coaching staff. Now, of course, we're going to move on to the new boys now, and there are a couple of them who are coming in fresh. And I want to start, of course, with Giovani Van Bronckhorst. Now, I have to say, it feels like a little bit of a coup for Liverpool to appoint him as an assistant manager, because he was a title winner with Feyenoord. Feyenoord have only won 2 titles in the last 26 years, and the winners of those titles have been Arne Slot and Giovani Van Bronckhorst. So to get Van Bronckhorst in, as I say, as an assistant cannot have been easy. I mean, Obviously, since his time at Feyenoord, he went to China for a short stint. He was at Rangers and was only there for a year, but he won the Scottish Cup, led them to a Europa League final, as you remember, before being sacked really in his second season, and maybe a little bit harshly. I mean, it's not like Rangers have been absolutely flying since he departed. Rangers fans will probably have a better idea of that, but I think regardless of whether it was a justified sacking or not at the time, I think his track record there stands up quite well. And then after Rangers, he went to Besiktas in Turkey he only lasted 20 games before being sacked, and a disappointing result for him there really. And you just wonder whether those two experiences of being at biggish clubs there and being sacked so soon into the project have maybe made him think, I want to get out the spotlight now. I want to be able to concentrate on coaching and be in a kind of stable environment. And you can certainly say that Liverpool offers that. So, maybe that's his idea really, is to step away from being a manager and get back to enjoying coaching. And he will be given the time and the space to do that at Liverpool, that's for sure, because of course they do need or have needed another assistant coach to come in, because they lost Johnny Heitinga, who was doing very impressively, and of course he has gone to Ajax. So there is maybe even a stepping stone there back into being a manager if you do a good job at Liverpool. But of course, as I say, maybe his decision is on not wanting to go back to that, and he wants a more kind of relaxed role, and maybe he'll get that at Liverpool. But he will also be very, very important to what they're trying to do next season. So let's see how he settles into that. And big boots to fill in terms of Heitinga, because everybody you ask around the place says very, very smart coach, very highly rated. So Van Bronckhorst has got to step into that role and do as good a job to at least keep Liverpool on the same level. But he does have the experience to provide because of his managerial stints previously. Now, going to move on to the next person as well, who's been added to the coaching staff, and is again, I'd say, a bit of a surprise. This one, did not see this coming. Now, a slot had opened up in the goalkeeping staff. Again, we did not know this till yesterday, because Fabian Otter had left after just one season, and Claudio Taffarel as well. And with Fabian Otter, I want to say, obviously hugely respected in the field and an excellent goalkeeping coach with a very, very good track record, but he wasn't Arne Slot's man, was he? He was brought in last summer, but it felt like it was because of that reshuffle. They just had a quick look who was out there and he was selected. So it's not surprising. Sometimes, these working relationships aren't perfect. I'm not saying there was a clash or anything like that. You don't want to speculate on those aspects. But sometimes you do get quick turnover. If it's just not quite right for everybody, it's better to change. So maybe not a huge shock in that case. And with Taffarel, obviously keeping him around for another season post Jurgen Klopp to maybe assist with the transition to a new manager was possibly quite helpful. But of course, it did always feel like a little bit of a temporary thing really, and surprising to me that he stayed as long as he has. So of course, those two departing this summer, and that has meant a vacancy. And now the man who is going to come in to fill it is Jiai Valero. Now, many of you will remember him from his first stint at Liverpool. It's quite a while ago now. He joined initially in 2007 to work under Rafael Benitez and stayed there until Benitez was dismissed a few years later. Now, he went on to follow Benitez around, worked together at Chelsea, Inter, Napoli and Real Madrid with Benitez. So quite tightly tied to him really in his career generally. But he has been in England for the last 7 years now. So not worked with Benitez for quite some time. And he's been at West Ham United. He joined them in 2018 to work under Manuel Pellegrini, and has stayed under every single different manager that's come in since. And I think that bodes well, I think, in terms of showing what his level of quality. Clearly, several different managers have been impressed by his work and thought that he was worth keeping around. They so often don't they bring their own staff with them, these managers. But Valero, clearly very highly rated to survive through so many changes of managers. So I think that speaks well about him. In fact, just an interesting fact I want to throw in about Valero as well, actually, that this was not his first time in England when he joined Liverpool or when he was at West Ham or, of course, Chelsea. He had actually previously had a small stint as a player a long time ago. He had a largely journeyman career in Spain, but he spent 1 month on loan at Wrexham in January 2005, which is just something I love. And maybe that's the moment he fell in love with English football and decided that he wanted to be here as a coach. But I just think it's an interesting one about him. And in terms of what he brings to the table, He's known for a kind of serious attention to detail, really. He takes a huge amount of clips of the opposition in terms of preparing for matches and whittles it down to a small presentation that he'll give to the goalkeepers on the day of the game to really prepare them, and he'll kind of tell them what kind of attacks to expect. You know, did he cross the ball a lot, so you've got to be ready for that? Did he try and get quick counters, so you've got to be quick off your line and be there to kind of sweep things up? You know, he also gives them ideas not just about what the opposition are doing, but how maybe his own teammates are going to attack. Do they need him to bait the press? Do they need the goalkeeper to go long in certain games? So he pays attention to all those aspects, and of course a big focus on set pieces as well. That's something he's spoken about in interviews as being absolutely key to the game, and so goalkeepers are absolutely massive, their part in that. So that attention to detail that he'll bring there, I think, will be massively helpful to Liverpool, and he is renowned for his preparation for matches as well. So by all accounts, a very, very good goalkeeping coach and a smart appointment, and someone, of course, who knows Liverpool, of course. Now, he's joining a very different Liverpool from the one he was with all those years ago. It's one that's kind of set up for success, and he looks like a smart addition to that setup. But, of course, the proof will be in the pudding in terms of how he delivers, how he works with Alisson, and we'll have to see how that goes in the coming season. But I think an exciting appointment, and on the face of it, a very, very smart one. So I'm going to wrap it up there anyway. Please do let me know your thoughts on the new appointments, so thoughts on the coaching staff as a whole. Do you think this is a really good setup that Arne Slot's got? Are you a little bit worried that they're short or something? Do let me know your thoughts as ever. And of course, if you can like and subscribe, I would hugely appreciate that. And I'll see you guys very, very soon.